next comic visiting from Baltimore. You're gonna love him. Keep it going for Umar Khan!
Oh man, what a bummer. Lafayette took all my tall jokes, so. Guys, I'm from Baltimore City. I also work there. I'm a Baltimore City public school psychologist, and don't clap for that, who gives a fuck? And I work in a high school in the hood in Baltimore City, and we don't get trained to deal with half the shit we have to deal with. One day the principal came to my desk and she was like, "Mr. Khan, this 9th grader comes to school high every day. Can you talk to him?" I said, "Sure, what are his grades like?" She said he gets all A's and B's. I was like, "Sounds like he has life figured out." And what's my first question to this kid? How do I become as cool as you? I work with mostly women because I work in schools, and one day my female coworker said something weird to me. She blamed the Me Too movement for why men don't approach her at bars anymore. Right? I was like, wow, I wish I had an excuse for being ugly. That no one could call me out on. This whole time I thought I'm an asshole and I talk too much. I didn't know we could blame whole movements. Like the next time someone's like, "Hey Umar, how the ladies treating you?" I'll be like, "Well, it was going great until the war on terror." Ever since then, women have been harder to find than weapons of mass destruction. Maybe word spread that like America, I also don't pull out as promised. That's a good ass joke, DC. Yeah. Speaking of dating is weird for me because, my parents had an arranged marriage. And I didn't know this, but because I'm not married and my older brother isn't married, there's a network of Pakistani families that visit my parents' home with their daughters and leave their daughters' pictures and bios for me and my brother. And one day my mom threw a picture at me. She's like, "Umar, found the perfect woman for you." And I was like, "You're on Tinder too, Mom?" No, my mom threw this picture at me. It's just this brown woman standing next to a tree like this. And she's wearing a headscarf, which means she's a religious Muslim. And I was like, "Mom, does she know I'm an atheist? I drink, I do drugs, I have sex with strange white women, and I tell strangers about it." And my mom had the best response. She was like, "Oh, yeah, don't tell her that until after you're married." I was like, my mom gets it! My parents have never dated, but they want to give me dating advice all the time. One day my dad, he was trying to be cute. My dad was like, "Hey Umar, I met your mother only after seeing her picture." I was like, "Yeah, Dad, I do that shit all the time." One day we're at dinner and my dad wanted to give me more dating advice. Again, a guy who's never dated is giving me dating advice. We're at dinner and my dad's like, "Hey Umar, you see this bread on the table?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Let's say a strange man came and ate some of that bread. Let's say another strange man came and ate some of that bread. Would you still eat that bread?" I was like, "Hell yeah, Dad, I'm a fucking freak. I would eat that bread the same time another man was eating that bread. Also, what a weird analogy. We're both sharing this bread right now. Or we can have a threesome after dinner." Me and my dad broke bread that night, DC. Yeah. Like I said, I'm a school psychologist, and I know, funny now, right? Fuck those kids. I'm a school psychologist, and when I was in grad school to be a psychologist, the issue of spanking kids came up. Now, don't judge anyone. Clap if you are against spanking children. All right, all the abused people, tight. Clap if you are for spanking children. Nice. Not only is it more, there's more enthusiasm. Did you hear that fucking woo? And most of you probably don't even have kids. You're like, "I can't wait." I'm against it because there's no science to show that it does anything good, but like you saw, most people are for it. Even a lot of my colleagues who understand child development, they're for it. Like I was in a class and the professor said a lot of kids who are spanked are more likely to be aggressive when they're older. And this girl in my class got pissed. She stood up. She's like, "I was beaten. I'm normal." It's like you did a very not normal thing to prove that. And I was beat. I was spanked like crazy growing up. My mom used to hit me with a spatula so much so that I thought that's what they were for. Until I were at my friend's house, I saw his mom flipping eggs. I was like, hold the fuck up. I don't want you guys to hit kids. I love kids. In my free time, I also volunteer with Baltimore high school kids. I was working with this kid around the holidays last year, and he was like, "Hey, Umar, what'd you do for Christmas?" I said, "Nothing, man." He said, "Why not?" I said, "Because I grew up Muslim. My parents didn't do that." He looked at me and he was like, "Man, Christmas is the best. You're a grown-ass man. Celebrate that shit next year." I was like, "Thanks, Daryl." He's like, "My name's Darrell." I was like, "Darrell, you're a grown-ass man. Change your name." I love these kids. They're amazing. They're super smart and super funny. The one thing I don't like about working with them is that black teens are really good at making fun of you. And they'll say shit that makes no sense, but it still hurts. Like one time I was working with this kid and he was staring at me and he was like, "You know what, Umar? Your head is shaped like a box of Newports." The fuck does that mean? But it hurt! And I wasn't gonna let this piece of shit get away with it, so I was staring at him, trying to figure out something I could make fun of him for, and he just looked at me, he's like, "Nah, you taking too long," and walked away. Alright, my name is Umar, thank you.
Keep it going for Umar Khan!